So wait for a mic. We can start with Steve Wino in the front on the left.
Steve Wino, Associated Press. Gary, I know you love this question, especially when Pierre asks it. There was a report today about a succession plan. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
But sort of where do things stand? Obviously, maybe nothing imminent, but where do things stand in terms of your work with talking about a potential succession plan?
You know, I'm disappointed that we have to go down this line of questioning because Pierre will take the credit for having initiated it and asked it repeatedly for the last, 3 years. And I guess on my birthday, it's appropriate time. Any organization, major organization, it's incumbent upon its CEO, which a commissioner is, and its board to have a succession plan. You know, I am 74, and I do acknowledge the fact that I can't do this forever. We have been in discussions over the last couple of years, at least, as to what a succession plan might look like. It hasn't been fully implemented. The executive committee is fully on board. The board has been briefed in terms of the direction that we may go. But beyond that, there's nothing happening imminently, and reports of my demise or retirement are greatly exaggerated.
Greg, middle on the right side.
Greg Wyszynski, ESPN. Two questions, very related. Russian players will be on the rest of the world team in the All-Star game?
Yes.
And then IIHF said last week it will determine the status of Russian participation on an event-by-event basis for 26-27. Gary, you've said in the past that the NHL is going to follow the international community's lead on Russia with the World Cup of Hockey in particular. Does this announcement change anything?
Well, we'll obviously be following how they approach that process and what they do, and it'll be relevant to what we do, yes.
I don't think there's complete clarity on what they've done and what it means, so that's why we're going to have to wait and see further. You don't have a question?
Not his turn yet.
Oh, okay.
Gary,
But your question's been taken already. That's okay.
Second row on the aisle on the right. I'm sorry.
Yes, good afternoon. Eric Fisher, Front Office Sports. You've got your U.S. TV rights coming up in a couple of years. Where are you on that renewal process, and how does the recent run of viewership data inform that process, and also what some other leagues may be doing to try to jumpstart the market?
I am excited about those prospects based on how well we're performing. For those of you who haven't been keeping track, our ratings this season are up materially double digits, multi-double digits, and that's a good sign, and it's showing fan engagement, and kudos in the U.S. To our partners who have helped us achieve that. We have exclusive negotiating periods that don't begin till next calendar year, and while there have been some casual discussions, we're not at the point where we're in firm negotiations. We will respect the rights that are in the contracts, and if things materialize sooner, great. But if not, we're more than prepared to go through the usual routine of dealing with an exclusive negotiating period, which both Turner, WBD, and the Walt Disney Company, ESPN, and ABC have at the same time.
Second row on the aisle on the left, Kevin.
Gary, when you took before you took the job as commissioner,
You can remember that long ago?
I was there. I remember. That shows you how old I am. But
Me too.
the NHL had been run by presidents,
Yes.
and you took the title commissioner. I wonder if you can just walk through why that title, what that title meant, as opposed to president, or how your job might have been different from previous presidents.
Wow, this is a walk down memory lane. If I recall correctly, and if you were there, maybe you remember differently, my coming in as the first commissioner was an attempt to begin what I'll call the modernization of the operation of the league. And part of my understanding coming in was that my powers would be comparable to the commissioners of the other three major sports, and the signal that we were giving to the world that things were going to start to be different, we were going to grow the game, was changing president to commissioner. I think as a technical matter, I have both titles under the Constitution, but I don't use the old-fashioned one. Does that comport with what you remember?
Yeah, it was more the direction of the league was going to
Yeah, okay. So it's, neither of us in 33 years have failing memories then.
First row on the right, Mike Russo.
Yeah, Mike Russo, The Athletic. Gary or Bill, or Gary and or Bill. Obviously, Vegas is well in its rights contractually to not allow Bruce Cassidy to interview for another job. Do you find this problematic or unreasonable? And if not, I mean, how do you keep this from becoming a precedent? Did the agents essentially need to start putting language in to have buyouts like college sports? What do you think would be a remedy here?
Obviously, we don't find it unreasonable because we're allowing it to happen. I do think Vegas is clearly within their contractual rights to do what they're doing. We also understand and appreciate that they're on a Stanley Cup run right now, and they don't need the distractions necessarily of a coach signing somewhere else. So we'll get to the end of the season, and we'll see where we go from there. Obviously, we've talked to all the parties involved in this, including Bruce, so he knows what our position on the subject is, and he might not be happy about it, but he was accepting of it, and we'll see where we go from there.
When you sign and insist upon a long-term contract, there are certain under league policies consequences of that, and so where we find ourselves is completely reasonable.
There are contracts that exist in the league that would not allow for this to happen. His was not one of them.
Chris, you had your hand up? Yeah, we'll just go right down that row.
Question for Gary. How would you characterize the current or recent level of interest in expansion from other cities, and sort of where do you stand on that?
I think it's strong. There are, and you've heard me say it repeatedly, there are a number of places and people who are interested in it. We're not ready to expand yet, but we are exploring those expressions of interest.
Pierre?
Yeah, two questions if I can for both Gary and Bill.
Haircut, Pierre.
Oh,
Yes.
Very nice.
thank you very much.
Looking good. Are you thinking of retiring? How much longer do you have on your deal?
It's, no comment. Just going back to the Russia question, though. Again, I know you're going to follow the IOC's lead, IIHF lead. Regardless of what that lead is, the next best on best tournament is the NHL, NHLPA World Cup in a couple of years. If Finland and Sweden in particular simply say, we're not going to play if Russia is invited, I mean, how can you stick handle around that situation?
I talked to the IIHF this morning on this issue, so I'm at least recently briefed on it. They don't anticipate a problem with the Russians or the Swedes and Finns necessarily, or Czechs right now, in terms of a boycott. If it comes to that. But again, we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves because they haven't made any determinations with respect to whether any of the international tournaments scheduled for 26, 27 the Russians are going to participate in. So obviously, again, and we're going to monitor what goes on there. We're not going to be bound by it, but we're going to monitor it, and it'll be relevant to our process in determining the World Cup of Hockey. But obviously, I think within the decision that came down, I think is probably helpful longer term if what you're looking for is potential Russian participation.
Okay.
Second?
Definitely a question for you, Gary. On the playoff format.
Yes.
Can you explain? You explained it in the past, but there are a lot of people, governors, managers, players that I've talked to that would like to go back to the traditional 1-8 in each conference. I understand why you don't want to, but explain why you like the way it works right now.
Well, when you say traditional 1-8, I'll accept the 1-8. I'm not sure what is traditional. I believe in the history of this league, there have been 16 different playoff formats. Okay, so picking anyone and calling it traditional is a bit of a stretch. If you look at the body of work since 2013, when this format went into place, you get statistically, and we can give you all the data if you want afterwards, closer games, more games, and more competitive games and more entertaining games throughout under this format than you do 1 through 8. And while there are plenty of people who might want to make a change, particularly in a given year if you think there's an aberration, But at the end of the day, if you're interested in longer competitive series, and actually under this format you get more 6 and 7 game series than you do under 1 through 8, there are plenty of people who think the format works just fine. And it's can continue to be the subject of discussion, but it's not clear-cut that a change is called for, putting it in its most benign light from that standpoint.
Okay, stay in that row.
Hello, guys. Jonathan Bernier from Le Journal de Montréal. I just want to know where you're at with the next French TV deal.
It continues to be a work in progress. The media markets are fairly complex these days as they evolve. I am confident that there will be robust distribution of our games on a French-speaking platform when we get to next season. I'm not concerned about that. What it looks like, we continue to work on.
And what is causing maybe the delay in the process?
I think the media markets everywhere are a little more volatile than maybe they've been in the past. Combination of cord cutting, cord nevering, streaming, and we want to make sure that we have the right balance. I know there was an article this weekend speculating on what we were doing and what it looked like. That was beyond speculation, because there were things that were in there that we never even contemplated and aren't currently on the table. But we're working on it, and it's something that's getting our current attention. I think in the not-too-distant future it'll be resolved. But the end result isn't something fans should be concerned about, because we are committed to making sure our games are available as broadly as possible on as many platforms as possible to reach our fans.
Third row on the right, Tom.
Gary, Tom Galiti, NHL.com. The NCAA is proposing some changes to eligibility rules, 5 years for 5 consecutive seasons of playing. What is the NHL stance, I guess, and maybe how this could impact things for you guys?
We're not in favor of the change, and we've made the NCAA aware of it. We and a number of other hockey organizations throughout North America, the 3 junior leagues in Canada, the USHL, USA Hockey, the College Coaches Association, all have raised concerns. So we've made the NCAA aware of those concerns and what it might do to development of players in North America. So we had an opportunity to talk to the NCAA directly last week. They have committed to keeping us in the loop with respect to their process and where they're going. President Baker told me that he would keep me informed, and he had some ideas that might be applicable to our situation. He did stress that it doesn't like sports-specific solutions, and felt there may be a number of other sports, college sports, that would be able to make the same arguments. So we'll see where it goes.
I hope that a one-size-fitting-all solution, which disadvantages some sports over others, isn't the way they go, because I think that would be unfair to us.
Third row on the aisle.
Hi, Gary. Brian Murphy with WRL here in Raleigh. I wonder if you could speak to what Tom Dundon's ownership has done for this market, for this franchise, and whether it's validated your belief in Raleigh as a hockey market. And then, secondly, there's a renovation happening right now in this arena.
I've noticed.
As part of that negotiation, the NHL was going to try to bring some events, all-star games, outdoor games, back to the Raleigh market. I wonder if there's been any progress on that.
Well, actually, you probably know the answer to the first part of your question better than I do, because you're here. Tom Dundon has been an extraordinary owner in terms of what he's brought to the operation of this franchise on and off the ice. Obviously, his work in terms of creating a competitive and successful team is the reason we're here. This team is more part of the community than it's ever been. The support from the business community and the governing authorities has been great. look at all the sponsors, look at the renovation that's going on and the investment that's going on in the building and the surrounding area. Look at the fact that, not too many years ago, we had 56,000 people across the street for an outdoor game. Whoever would have thought in Carolina. Tom may not always be, because we're hearing this out of a different market, the most conventional owner, but nobody can argue with his commitment to the sport, to the community, and to making this team successful for the benefit of the community and the fans. He's been great for us.
All the way.
And the second part of your question is yes, renovations done and the developments done. We'll be back with other things.
Thank you.
All the way in the back on the right, Eric.
Hi, guys. Eric Francis, Sportsnet in Calgary. Just wondering if you had an update on the arena in terms of, is it on time in Calgary?
Yeah.
On time and on budget.
We toured it a couple of months ago, and everything seems to be as we had hoped, and as I know ownership in Calgary and management had hoped. And it's going to be a great building, which is among the reasons Calgary was selected as one of the host sites for the World Cup. We're excited about the building, and I hope everybody in Calgary is, not just even for hockey, for all the other events that have been bypassing Calgary that are now going to be stopping there.
I think we heard it's actually ahead of schedule. So, and what we saw was spectacular.
Spectacular. It's going to be a great building.
Fourth row on the right, Alex.
Alex Silverman, Sports Business Journal, over here.
Oh, there you are.
You mentioned off the top record revenue. Are you able to put a figure on what league-wide revenue is at now and provide any color on some of the drivers behind the increase?
I think we're somewhere between $7.5 and $8 billion. I may be a little off in either direction, but somewhere in that vicinity. Everything, every platform, every source of revenue is growing. And it's going to be even better next year because the new media deal in Canada kicks in. We've got some new sponsors that we've signed and some that we're about to. Gate receipts remain strong. I think we're playing to something like 96% of capacity in the regular season, and in these playoffs over 100%. So, no, from a business standpoint, it's all good.
All the way over here on the left, Gary, in third row.
Joe Ovia's OG Media here locally in Raleigh. The ratings boom that you've been experiencing and other leagues have been experiencing, what exactly is the thing that are you really looking at? You see linear television declining, you see cable declining, streaming might not be catching up. So what's the engagement that you're truly looking at that gives you the expectation to get these media deals?
The raw numbers. But to answer your question, I'm not going to comment on other sports, but whether it's how ratings are now accounted for, and we have a particularly tech-savvy fan base, so now that's being reflected. For us, I think we're experiencing a particular moment of time. The game's never been better, never been more competitive. The Four Nations, followed by the Olympics, I think is at an impact. Things like heated rivalry and off-campus, I binged that one recently too, have been great. I think we're experiencing a moment in time where our players in our game are truly getting the recognition that they deserve, and it's being reflected in engagement by fans, current hockey fans watching even more, and sports fans, casual fans coming to give us a look and liking what they see and coming back.
Stephen, you want to go again? Steve Wino in the front.
Gary, British Columbia and Alberta are considering going to daylight saving time all the time. That could obviously have an effect on your scheduling double headers. Just wondering what the league makes of that change.
Nobody asked us, but not that they should have, but we'll deal with it. I mean, it may impact some start times in Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver, but we'll deal with it just as we deal with whatever things come our way that we don't get to control.
Anybody else? Yeah.
League obviously having a second consecutive decentralized draft this year in Buffalo. Is the plan to, again, decompress afterwards and study how it went for a second year in a row and then to commit to that format, or raise it with the clubs about going back to a traditional draft perhaps?
You know what? Unless we hear from a lot of clubs that they want to make a change, which is how the change came about in the first place, I don't see the need to poll every year. If a bunch of clubs call Bill or me and say, you know what, we'd like to go back, then we do that. But I don't anticipate that. I think the clubs like the format. We intend to put on a big event with the prospects and engage the community we're in. We're expecting a big turnout. The clubs are more comfortable, particularly with more and more people involved behind the scenes in the draft, in doing it that way, and we're okay with that. I mean, if that's what's most efficient for our clubs, and we can still put on an event, we'll be fine. And we promise we're going to make the first round a little more efficient than we did last time. Steve Mayer will try some bells and whistles that we'll embrace. We will make it interesting. We're just not going to do it, you know, on a basic basis, but we'll make sure we're mindful of speeding it up, because we know the first round last year ran a little long because we tried a lot of things first time out of the box.
Back to Kevin.
Regarding the All-Star, should we expect All-Star every second year now?
Yep.
Is that the okay?
That would be the plan. Obviously, that's something we'll continue to discuss with the Players Association. But as we've discussed previously, Olympics, 2 years off, World Cup, 2 years off, internationally 2 years off, Olympics, and beyond that cycle, and in the intervening years, our fans like All-Star. Our All-Star has worked well. We haven't had some of the issues that some of the other leagues have had. Yes, we even blew ourselves up with Four Nations by taking it to a whole new level, but there was never anything wrong with the All-Star format that we had been using for the last few years, and we think what we've laid out for you today is going to be fun and entertaining, and that's really what it's all about.
Go back to Tom on the right side.
Just another follow-up on the All-Star. You kind of answered just part of it there. Just, you know, the Islanders had to wait for a year for this. Just kind of how important was it to kind of fulfill the commitment there and give them something maybe a little different also to kind of add to the juice of it?
Well, we always try to make our events as good as possible, and we always evaluate and reevaluate what we've done to see if we can make it better. This was a joint collaboration with the Players Association in terms of coming up with the format. In terms of the commitment to the Islanders, we like to fulfill all of our commitments. We don't like to make commitments and then not fulfill them. And we had made a promise to the Islanders and to the fans in New York who are Islander fans and season ticket holders, and we're happy to be doing this.
Right side on the aisle, John.
Johnny Lazarus, Daily Faceoff. Just going back to the NCAA conversation and with the changes to the ecosystem and the landscape, just wondering if there's ever been a consideration to maybe change the draft age to 19 like the other leagues have shown.
The answer is, of course, yes. I mean, we've gone from well before my time, a 20-year-old draft to a 19-year-old draft to an 18-year-old draft. That's a collectively bargained issue. That's something we deal with the Players Association on. It hasn't been a priority recently, but it has had discussion over time. I'd say like 10 years ago, we thought about what that would entail, going to a 19-year-old draft. But I'm not sure on the NCAA issue that one is necessarily related to the other.
Yep.
I believe that's it.
That's it. We'll see you all around over the next couple of weeks or however long we go. We're excited about beginning tonight, and we're hoping for and expecting an exciting, entertaining Stanley Cup final. And thank you for being here with us.